The following show and its content are the responsibility of the show's producers and participants.
Information related in this program is not meant to substitute medical recommendations. Before starting a treatment program, you should consult your physician.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Welcome to the Couch Live here on WPSN99.com. You know, Trinity, I'm still not all familiar with all of this. I'm still going to be messing up. Yes. So welcome to the Couch Live here on the Problem Solving Network, WPSN99.com. Hello, everybody. Those listening either live on WPSN99.com or listening by watching it, one of the YouTube videos or something like that, or on Facebook or something like that. Too, I think, right? Yeah, as well. Right on. We are also here not only on the Problem Solving Network thanks to Surf Monkey Media, over here in the Surf Monkey Media Studios here in New Smyrna Beach, but also thanks to Aquarius 7 Broadcasting, we're still also on WJHM, 102jams.com, and of course rock100diz.com, our original home. So thanks to all of those stations for tuning in and being on with us. This is the Couch Live. I'm the Street Certified Dope Dr. Louis Delgado here with you. We're -1 today, Trinity.
We are. Where is
Robbie?
What did we call him? Grasshopper?
Grasshopper. The Grasshopper's he's doing a test. He's doing some sort of organic chemistry test or something like that.
As opposed to inorganic chemistry?
That's a very good question. I don't know if there is an inorganic
Maybe just out of touch, I guess.
Chemistry. But I think he's taking a test. He's over there at Rollins College. So
very cool.
You know, somebody's got to get educated, Trinity. You know, he needs to bring us.
I'm not going to go take organic chemistry, so I'm glad somebody is, because you will not catch me in there. Not that I have a problem with organic chemistry. I just I'm good. It's like you're not going to teach an old dog new tricks.
I'm done. I'm done with that.
Yes,
I'm not doing any of that anymore. But anyway, so he's over there. So we're -1, and we didn't bring in a replacement to fill in his seat. So you see like this empty seat. Here, let's at least square off the seat so at least we can pretend he's here. We should have put Shaq there today.
Well, we need to cut out of Robbie so we can just put him there. Oh. And actually, I wasn't here last week, so we never cut out of me sitting here.
But we brought in a replacement.
Oh, wow, thanks.
You didn't know that?
I was replaced.
Graham Barrett came from Journey Pier. Graham Barrett sat in with us from Journey Pier, so he was here. So anyway, all right, so let's get right into it. There's a lot of stuff going on, obviously, in the world that's not related to addiction. That gets everybody a little sidetracked, gets everybody a little bit, how would you say, I guess focused on other things. But, so I was going through the internet, right, and I see that, what was that congresswoman name? Is it Stephanie Matthews? No, I always say Stephanie Matthews, and that's somebody that works at like mending fences.
Is that the one that you met with, wherever? That was trying to be get elected or something?
What was her name?
I don't remember her name at all.
So you're gonna make me
look
it up.
Which sucks. I mean, she's not gonna get my vote, I guess, right now. Is that what that means?
She's the one that took John Micah's spot. And John Micah was always very supportive of the Now Matters More Foundation. So I guess that's why I just keep remembering his name. And she has yet to really involve herself with us. It's not her fault. Stephanie Murphy. That's her name, Stephanie Murphy.
That does sound familiar. Okay.
All right, so Stephanie Murphy, Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy, is coming into town. So I see this thing that she's coming into town and she's going to be at UCF. And I'm thinking,
very cool.
Awesome, right?
Okay.
But again, I'm skewed, obviously, because I'm thinking about our business, Trinity. I'm just thinking about what we do.
Right.
So I'm thinking, oh, she's going to go talk about addiction.
Because she did not.
Well, she's not coming for that. She's coming. Guess what she's coming to talk about?
I would assume Hurricane Irma or something, but
God, you would assume. But I'm gonna give you. All right. So what is the one guess you would take that we always reference? I'm gonna give you another hint. Dr. Tom Hall always references this other crisis, and I'm gonna put that in quotes because it's not really. But he always jokes about it, and I always joke about it. I said, this many people, if that would have hurt this many people, the world would go crazy
You
because
put
they're
me on
already
the
going
spot
crazy
now.
with how many it's already affecting.
You put me on the spot now.
Think mosquito.
Oh, the Zika virus.
She's coming to talk about the Zika virus.
Is Zika even still here? Like, are you serious? Are we in Brazil all of a sudden?
Trinity.
Wow. Okay.
Trinity. She's coming to UCF to have a forum discussion on the Zika virus.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what to say to that.
I don't even know if it's relevant.
And
I don't want
to. Going to say
and
about
I don't
it?
listen. If you're out there and you're suffering from Zika, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be non-sympathetic.
Somebody's struggling with Zika.
You know what I mean?
Like,
Yeah, there's somebody.
You
don't care about me. But what I'm just saying is, there's so much other going on, right? Think about it. We have Irma, Maria.
No, I mean legitimately though, is Zika even still?
We have
thing
addiction.
Right
we have
I'm not trying to
we
be
have this
facetious.
healthcare problem going on. That nobody.
I'm not being facetious. Is
I don't know.
Zika really a legitimate problem still right now?
I don't know.
Okay, I mean I know it. What was it? Brazil? They had this big, huge thing before the Olympics and stuff. So I knew it was a problem there, but is it? Oh, okay.
I have no clue.
It just feels like a waste to me. I guess a waste of her appearance. Where she could potentially discuss something a little bit more meaningful, as opposed to Zika. How many people have died? I'm going to Google that. How many people have died in the United States?
You're going to Google how many people?
Yes.
No, not just United States. You got to do Florida because she's a Florida representative.
People in Florida.
Zika.
Have been
affected by Zika. Or whatever.
Affected by Zika. Is it Z-I-K?
Z-I-K.
K, right?
So we don't even know how to spell Zika.
That's how important it
is. That's how.
Once again, if you're struggling with Zika, I get it. Like, hey, it's my cause.
I'm not trying to be insensitive.
But when you look at the numbers,
right?
Okay.
So Congressman
Stephanie
Murphy.
They have a daily Florida Zika virus tracker.
Oh, there's a daily tracker.
Yes, and I'm loading it up right now as we speak.
Is there a daily tracker for how many people are dying of overdoses or anything like that?
Maybe, but I didn't Google that one, so I don't know.
Really?
Was it 144 a day or something like that?
You think that there might be a daily tracker?
Yes.
For you really do?
Yeah.
You're that hopeful?
I think somebody somewhere has it. Do I think it's widely
You're kidding me right now. You really believe someone's?
Yeah.
If not, we need to do it.
I think somebody's.
No. I don't want to do it. I don't because that's focusing on the negative. But somebody should do it.
I think somebody's doing it, but I don't think it's like publicized.
Okay, we shall see.
But people keep data on everything, man.
We shall see.
So.
I'm not as hopeful as you on that respect. I think that there's no daily tracker, but it's so. What does the daily tracker say of Zika? How many people are dying of Zika right now?
This says January 2016, so apparently they're not keeping up with it.
As of January 2016, how many?
It says here local travel. Okay, unknown travel. This is not a very easy thing to read here.
Maybe that's why they're meeting to somehow make it easier.
It says local travel 1551, local cases 287, unknown origin. This is not a very easy thing to read. So yes, maybe that's what they're doing is they're meeting to discuss the sad state of affairs of their daily tracker. Either way, it's not overwhelming because it would be all over the news, as you pointed out. It's a very hard thing to read. This is not easy to navigate.
Right.
Because it keeps changing, and I can't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Good thing Congressman Murphy is. Coming to UCF. UCF is probably very concerned about it.
It's such a horrible thing that they haven't really updated the website and made it easy to read.
Right.
Meanwhile,
I would like to know who is in Congresswoman Murphy's ear, telling her that this is it's necessary to spend taxpayer money to.
I'm going to venture a guess.
Go out to UCF and do this.
And say somebody with a lot of money. Somebody with a lot of money that can help get her elected or reelected.
Sounds like a pharmaceutical push.
Yeah, it's their pet peeve, or it's their
follow the money. Who makes money off Zika?
Doctors and big pharma. And
are you just saying that, or you know that for sure? You're just guessing.
I'm guessing. I don't know much about Zika.
It sounds like a good guess, though.
But the problem is, I don't know much about Zika.
But I'm gonna guess that's what it is. It's who makes money off Zika.
Yeah.
Because you know one thing. You know what other thing I read, Trinity, that seemed pretty important. Did you know that infant syphilis contraction was up? Infant death due to syphilis?
How are infants getting syphilis? Is that like, okay, interesting.
Well, Trinity, how do infants get syphilis?
I'm going to assume
how do they get a sexually transmitted disease?
Mommy.
Correct.
All right.
So where is, in other words, you know what this goes back to, Trinity? This goes back to what we were talking about the other day. Remember when the other day we were talking about how women continue to have increases in overdose deaths?
Yes.
And there's other ailments or sicknesses that women suffer from. But for some reason, it's not widely publicized.
Most of the stuff with addiction is widely publicized.
But why separate? In other words, why not publicize that more women are dying from overdoses than ever before and at a higher percentage increase rate than men? Why not publicize that?
You know what? I did
their
see
rate
that,
increase
actually.
is high.
You know what? I did see that.
You did find
it was on.
Were you watching our show? Because that's the only place I saw it.
It was on Vice News. Remember that article I sent you?
You really watched that? Everything you.
It's on every night from 7:30. It starts. At
what channel is Vice News?
HBO.
Oh, you watch HBO every night? It's on every night?
Yeah. Well,
like a nightly show?
Yeah, Monday through Thursday.
It's on every night? Like a nightly show?
Well, I'm a brilliant man. It's their answer to like the nightly news.
Okay.
But they cover a little bit more wide range. They
Sounds
cover
like
other countries as well.
You always come up with good stuff from them.
And that the link that I sent you, actually, they were talking about, it was funny because as I was watching it, I watched my wife's reaction.
Right.
As soon as they mentioned it, she immediately turned and looked at me and was like, what do you think of that? And the article, I don't know if you read the whole thing or not, but I didn't read the whole article, but I saw the story.
Right.
Essentially what it was is up in Canada, they're also having opiate addiction issues.
Right.
And what they decided to do against their government's wishes, because the government was very against this at first, they decided to create essentially like a mobile kind of like a tent city, if you will, where they would go to a park and they would create a safe injection place.
Right.
So essentially, you would have your heroin. You would come there. If you didn't have a clean needle, it appeared as if they would provide you a clean needle if necessary.
Right.
And then they were essentially there to make sure that nothing went wrong. They would make sure to make sure you didn't OD from it. And if you did, they were there to revive you with Narcan. And then they were also testing to see if there was any fentanyl in your heroin.
Right.
And then did they give
it back to you? I mean, they just tested and give it back?
They didn't say that one. They just said that they tested it. But the other thing was interesting is they also had a tent there with counselors and people offering services for rehab and things of that nature. So it wasn't just hey, come shoot up and we'll take care of you.
Right. Well, of course. I mean, you got to do it right. You got to.
Well, at first the government was anti that, and they just did it anyways, breaking the law.
Right.
And then it seems as if the police force kind of came around and was just like they turned a blind eye type of thing. Right. But in doing so, they did put up a list of, and I have it right here because I took a picture because I knew we'd talk about it.
Okay.
They put up a list of statistics that I thought were interesting, some of which we've already discussed amongst ourselves and on the show. Mm-hmm. It was estimated 2 million Americans 12 or older addicted to prescription pain relievers.
How many?
It says estimated 2 million Americans 12 or older addicted to prescription pain relievers. And then it says annual opioid prescriptions, the next one was 300 million annual opioid prescriptions. So 300 million opioid prescriptions a year. And then it says annual opioid prescriptions equal every American adult with own bottle. So basically every American adult can have their own bottle of opioids.
How many people are in the United States? Do you know?
I don't. I know there's 20 million in Florida. Okay. Last I checked, it was like 300 million or something like that. Something around there.
Right around the same number.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is why you said each person can have their own.
Yeah. The next one is 276,000 adolescent non-medical users.
Okay.
The next one is 1 in 7 persons who received a refill are addicted 1 year later.
1 in 7?
Yes. And then next one is chances of addiction increase after third day prescribed. And actually, I want to make a correction. This is not from the Vice News. I'm looking at the corner here. This is actually from the Dr. Phil one. when I sent you that text message.
Oh God, you got me repeating Dr. Phil numbers.
These aren't his numbers. I'm assuming he got them from somewhere.
I know. I'm not trying to be a hater. Good for you, Dr. Phil. Good for you.
Next
Proud
one is.
I just don't like the way he talks to people sometimes. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's sensationalized.
It's not. I don't hear the compassion there all the time. But that's a separate issue.
So, so last one I said was chances of addiction increase after third day of prescribed.
Right.
Next one is 60% of overdose deaths involve opioids, and then 91 Americans die.
Wait, what was the 60%?
It says 60% of overdose deaths involve opioids. So there's a 60% chance that if you die from an overdose, it's going to be from an opioid.
What's the second?
It didn't say. And then the next one is 91 Americans die every day from an opioid overdose. Next one is 84% higher risk of atrial fibrillation. Can't speak right now. Here's the female one. Okay. Women addicted increased more than 400% from 1999 to 2010.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about.
It says fatally injured drivers who tested positive opioids. Good, I can speak today. Raised 700% from 1995 to 2015. 40 times more likely addicted to heroin, and then nearly 80% using heroin misused prescription opioids first. So some very interesting statistics. Okay. So between that one and then the show that I was watching on Vice News, right, where they were having, I guess, I don't want to call it legalized, but they were, right, I don't know what I would call it, but they essentially is injection sites, safe injection sites, where they were allowing people to come and inject themselves with their heroin, first having tested with for fentanyl, and then knowing that if they were to overdose for whatever reason, there was somebody there to save them, and they said they were averaging like a couple overdose saves each time, essentially. So, depending on how you look at it, it was working. Depends on what your focus is.
And obviously, my stance is always at least it's action oriented.
Well, that's what I told.
It's not all talk. Somebody's doing something.
That's what I told my wife. I told my wife that because she was asking me what I thought about it, because she was immediately kind of appalled, I guess. And I think for most people, it's an appalling thing. It's a very I think
it's pretty shocking to most people that there's any kind of government or community support or assistance in anyone shooting up.
Well, it's just the way they worded it too. It's just it is. It's kind of like wait, what?
Yeah.
But I agree. I said the same thing. I says, you know what? They're doing something. It's better than not doing anything at all.
Right.
Whether I agree or disagree, I was happy to hear though that they did offer services. I guess. Right. Otherwise, it wasn't just, hey, come do your drugs, guys. It was come here. You're going to do it. Might as well do it in a safe space where that if something did happen, you're not going to die today.
Right.
Because as you said, we can't help you if you're dead.
Right. What if you share with a friend? I mean, you know what I mean? Like you have one little baggie, but it's for two people. Kind of looks like dealing, you know what I mean? It's like saying, no, this is for both of us.
Yeah, I didn't get to that.
You know what I mean? You can kind of deal there, really.
Yeah, I did find it interesting.
See the crooked stuff. I always have to. Sure. The brain. It's just don't mind me. Don't.
There was an individual at the end of the video though.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he wants to get clean someday and all those other things.
Just not today.
Basically.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me though.
Right.
That while it might kind of be shock value for most people. As we always say, even if one person comes there and overdoses and lives, and one other person shows up and actually decides to get help, for whatever reason, somebody speaks to him at that exact moment, and they can relate or whatever, and they were able to get help and go on and do great things, it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
Because I hate to sound like that really irresponsible parent that brings your kids to drink and smoke at your house. They're going to do it anyways. Why not do it? But there's something to be said about that. Not necessarily for kids. I'm talking about in the adults. The government doesn't seem to be in a rush to do anything for us. So taking it in our own hands, I think I'm excited to see that the average everyday person, now granted this was in Canada, but I'm excited to see the average everyday person was, instead of saying screw them, let them die, was saying what can we do to help.
Right.
And so that was kind of cool.
Well, let's peel that onion a little bit, because you brought up a real interesting point, Trinity. You I guess likened it to a parent saying they're going to drink anyway. Why not in my house?
Yeah, well,
kind of deal. So
we hear it all the time, right?
I am very against that.
Me too.
In definitively, like I don't have any. There's no question in my mind that that's
adolescents.
wrong and not a good thing to do. Yeah. And so let's peel that onion back a little bit, because I've never related the two situations, and I'm not as black and white about this issue as I am about that. How I feel about that. So let's.
I mean,
how is it like that?
Well, it's like
in your mind,
because it's almost for some people they view it as like a defeatist kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
Why try to correct the situation? It's so overwhelming, so just give in and let them do it anyways. And I can see how somebody would feel that way. Mm-hmm. I'm very anti doing that with kids, like because they're children. Like it's our job to teach them and guide them. For adults, it's kind of I don't want to say it like in a negative fashion, but it is kind of like a last resort, like a giving up sort of thing.
I think.
Because I have to think that there's a better option out there.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's no support for a better option.
Right.
And so when you don't have support for a better option, you kind of have to do the best that you can do. And to offer a safe place for them to come and do it, while at the same token...
Is it enabling, though? Is it enabling?
I don't think it's enabling, because I don't think that those people were going to not use if they didn't have the place. I think instead they were going to use it like a Burger King bathroom or something like that. Or sorry, Burger King, but I hate to see that they're.
Well, you can knock them because McDonald's supports us.
There you go.
So I'm kidding.
Yeah, my
not
point
Burger
is.
King. Trust me, if you threw some money out, we'll talk about.
Yeah, there you go. My point is there doesn't seem to be a lot of stories out there where there's like a wide array of addicts who are choosing to not get high because they don't have a safe place to go. Which
is I think why you liken it to the parental thing.
Because the kids are going to do it anyways as well.
Right. So, and I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, I haven't spent any time thinking about this. So, at the sake of changing my mind later, but I'm gonna go with my initial gut on this. I'm hearing it, and I'm thinking they're not doing it because they're going to use heroin anyway. I think they're doing it because there's additional health crises going on. Two health crises going on right there. One, overdoses.
Yeah.
But more importantly, these needle exchange programs and everything that exists were because the spread of sexually transmitted diseases and other illnesses and other sicknesses like that.
Yeah,
so
syphilis.
Other diseases. Yeah, we just shared that, and I wish I had the exact number, and I'm sure I do. If I look through my phone, I'll find the that story. But it shocked me that something like syphilis,
right,
which really I thought was gone, right? And I hope I have the right sexually transmitted disease. I'm going to really hate that if later on, when the show's over, I find out that it was a different sexually transmitted disease.
I personally, I have never heard of children syphilis. Like, that's news to me. I'm not shocked, like, in the sense of, I just never really...
If I remembered where I got it from, Trinity, I would tell you to look it up right now.
Well, I'm looking up some of it, but...
Look up STDs and infant mortality or something like that. And then we'll get back to that. I guess what I'm saying, though, is there are so many different sexually transmitted diseases that happen within the not just the addiction community, but I'm talking about the people who tend to use needles and inject. So Hep C is way up. I mean, we've never seen Hep C in the numbers that we see now. I mean, it's way up. And there's so many young people that have Hep C, and it doesn't go away.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I would kind of... The first thing that comes to my mind, right or wrong, I guess, is... And I don't know the dates of this, so I probably wasn't even alive when some of this stuff first happened. But I've heard stories and talked to my mom. I've heard of other people.
Right.
It was kind of like the abortion issue back in the day. Was they made something illegal, essentially, and people were going to do it. Right. So they didn't have access to the ways of doing it correctly and safely. Right. So they just kind of did the best they could, like we all do.
Yeah.
Like, we all don't abort, obviously, but we all, like, paying bills. We all, like, getting our car somewhere. We all have, I think you and I were joking at one point with our privacy fences in the backyard. They weren't brand new, but we just kind of put tape or put nails and did the best we could to just make it happen.
Right.
And so in life, we all kind of do the same thing. If we're going to do something, we do our best to just utilize what we have access to.
Right. So like a harm reduction.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
So, I mean, that's kind of how I see it as well. I mean, you don't have access. It's illegal, so you can't just go into Walmart and buy what you need to buy.
Right.
And so you're going to utilize what you can. And the addiction is so powerful, you can't be like, oh, well, I don't have a clean needle, so I'm not going to do it today. No, you're going to lick it clean or wipe it off in your pants and be like, oh, that's good enough, you know?
So let's continue to peel that onion. So is it harm reduction when a parent allows their kid to drink alcohol in their home? Is that harm reduction?
I would say no. My view on that is different in the sense of a couple things. I view my role as a parent very seriously.
Right.
And I think my role as a parent, especially when they're underage, is not just a guiding force, but I'm still teaching. And so I think to let them do it in their house, they are now associating that as like an okay thing.
Right.
Because I'm condoning it.
Right.
And so as long as I don't condone it, but I also teach them, you know, they may or may not do it on their own. My goal obviously is to raise them in a way where they wouldn't make that decision.
Right.
But by bringing it to my home, it sends that mixed message of I'm condoning it, and it's like okay now.
Yeah. So that's the difference.
Cool. I think so, because they're children and they're still learning. It's our job to set an example and teach them. Right. If you're 38 years old shooting heroin, I mean, it's not. I can't raise you. You've already learned this, and I'm going to assume statistically by that point you've already got a full-blown addiction.
Right.
If you're 16 years old, 17 years old, you want to have a beer, chances are pretty good you're not addicted yet. You're just trying to be cool, or you're just trying to kind of experience that. And so I still have some power to communicate to you in a way I can teach you something still, and maybe steer you or guide you in a different direction. Mm. At 38 with a 10-year heroin addiction, it's kind of, I can't steer you anywhere.
I mean, well, even if they're just, let's say they are 18. I mean, even then, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I like what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, actually. I agree that when you allow someone to drink in your home and you're the parent, you're going outside your role as a parent.
Well, you're providing them the stuff. You're providing the location.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You're
actually creating a safety net.
That's enabling.
Yeah, that's enabling.
Yes.
Whereas the difference of that safety net compared to the safety net by these needle exchange programs, or these programs that will help you shoot up properly, I guess, or test your drugs.
The other reason why I think they're also different as far as the enabling thing is, especially for like a 17-year-old kid, I most likely am providing you your drug.
Right.
These people aren't providing the drugs.
Right.
They're showing up with the drugs, and they're just saying, look, we're going to make sure you don't die.
Right.
Like, so I think there's a slight difference in that as well.
Right.
Because then that would be the dealing thing. Like,
right.
You know, one-stop shopping, man. Like, show up, buy it, and use it.
Well, and really, and part of the safety that you're providing for your kid that's underage drinking is the safety from police. You're actually providing the safety from the authority.
Yes.
Not necessarily safe drinking practices.
You convince yourself that it's because you don't want them to make bad decisions.
Right.
But that bad decision would lead to police or pregnancy or whatever else.
And I personally don't know anyone that only drank in their home, and then when they would go out somewhere else would go, no, I only drink at home with my mother's guidance. I don't know anyone
never heard
that
that
did
before.
That. No.
And I
agree with you.
I've also never heard anybody whose parents allowed them to drink at the house understand why. I've never heard anybody say to me, you know, my mom does it because, you know, she thinks I'm doing it. Right. No, it's always like, what? Your mom was cool with it? That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
No, my mom was cool with it.
So there's a loss in translation somewhere.
I had a friend like that.
Yeah.
Now everybody does.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? I mean, if you drink as a young person, everybody has that one house that you can go to. There was a house that I knew that we could smoke at. Yep. And there was a house that I knew we could drink at.
Yeah.
And you know, so I mean, no offense to you if you're watching. I mean, you know who you are, but I really did think you were cool at the time.
Sure.
I didn't know that you were, you know, not good for me or harmful to me. I mean, and I know you didn't know that you were being harmful. I think you were well intended.
Sure.
Only, you know, as a parent of two teenage kids, I just think differently now.
And
isn't that always the case? Hindsight is always,
of course, man.
always the case. But yeah, I look at it differently too, Trinity. I don't look at it like enabling, and I look at it again. I do like the action of it. I like the controversy only because it creates conversation, and I think the more communication about this issue, then when someone says I don't like that idea, then it allows us to look at them and go, well, then what's your decision? What's your idea?
Yeah,
because we've tried incarceration. We've tried keeping them hidden in the shadows. And I like that you brought up the likening to abortion part, because with that particular issue, although I would never want my family, my individual little foursome of my family to have to experience abortion in any way. I also don't want any young lady out there that feels so scared for whatever reason to go to someone who will do it without the use of the proper equipment or the proper way and put them potentially at life's risk or at risk of life.
I mean, that's the caveat, right?
Right.
I mean, when you start to make something completely illegal, then you get rid of any sort of safety, any sort of oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Not restrictions, but can't think of the word.
I can't either. You're the word guy.
Yeah, right. But my point is regulation. There we go.
Right.
You get rid of any regulation, like with the whole marijuana industry.
Mm-hmm.
By making it illegal in a lot of places, then you allow people to then start like criminal enterprises to succeed.
Right.
When you start to legalize it, then they can no longer succeed. You get rid of some of that criminal element, not all of it, but some of it.
Well, and some of the difference in that is that I look at like whether you don't allow your children to use, and people say, well, they're going to drink anyway, they're going to get high anyway. Yeah, but possibly not.
Yeah.
My kids
the future,
have not yet.
Know.
You know what I mean? And I say yet because you never know what's going to happen, right? But to my knowledge, not yet. But here's the bigger thing. It's going to give your kids a decision to make a decision. They have to decide, am I going to lie to my parent? Am I not only going to be a drug user or a person who drinks alcohol, but am I also going to be a liar? And that's going to change the relationship between you and your kid. They're going to have to make a choice to now hide information from you. And their friends are also going to have to make a choice to hide information from you. And I'd rather put my kids in a situation where they have to make that kind of decision in life than to just simply say, well, you're going to do it anyway, so I'm gonna back out of this completely. And I think that at this age, you're old enough to use or not use. Because I don't think that's the case.
I've got a better scenario. It just reminds me of, I don't know, probably about a month or so ago when we had that. We were talking about the lady who had the foundation that was offering money for getting birth control pills. And
right. Getting sterile.
And they were saying how we're trying to solve this problem. It's like, well, you don't know that those people were going to get pregnant.
Right.
Well, same scenario with the offering your kids a way to drink at home.
Right.
What if you had a kid that didn't want to drink at all? But because you overrode that idea and said, hey, I'm going to let you throw a party here and I'm going to provide the alcohol because I want to make sure you drink.
Right.
I'm going to say that kid's going to feel more compelled to drink now because mom just did all this stuff. All my friends are here. It's allowed.
Right.
I'm going to get made fun of if I don't do it.
Yeah. I mean,
so you might have just made your kid drink.
It kind of shows, it kind of shows that that's what adults do, right? And here's what I used to think that all adults drank at parties. I used to think that every party has alcohol. Living so many years on this side of it, we're going on 28 years as of next month, October. That's a lot of functions that I've been to where there's no drinking. And so the whole example what the kids see, like for instance, my kids can literally at 18 and 15, almost 16 say, never have I seen my father drinking at a function. They can literally be like, wow, my dad has thrown some functions and there's never alcohol provided at those functions. That's not to say other people may not use. I'm not anti-drinking and I'm not anti-drug. I'm not anti-anything other than disease and poor decision-making. What I'm saying is that if you can lead by example in any way to your kid, instead of leading by example and saying, look, this is how to do it, so you don't get in trouble by the law. It's not this is how to do it safely. This is how to do it and not get in trouble by the law.
Exactly.
Is what you're saying. How about you can hang out with your friends and not do it, and find other ways to do it at the risk of being corny, at the risk of being uncool. I have no problem being corny and uncool to a teenage kid.
We're supposed to be corny and uncool.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you're not corny and uncool to your teenage kid, you're probably bordering something wrong. You're probably on the border of something.
Agree with that.
You're kind of supposed to be corny and uncool.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not really supposed to like the way we dress,
I
our music.
Just had this conversation.
It's always kind of weird, right?
My son wears. I'm going to call him out here in a minute, but whatever.
Okay, here we go.
Trevor.
Oh boy.
He wears glasses that aren't prescription because they think they look cool.
Okay.
Right?
Like the nerd glasses.
Just glasses of any sort.
Yeah, but it's the square ones?
No.
Just any kind of glasses.
Okay. Because I think it looks cool. And I remember a time where it wasn't cool to wear glasses. You were made fun of if you had them on, things of that nature.
Right.
And so, I'm that whole, get off my lawn. I made a comment, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, why are you wearing glasses if you don't need glasses? I was like, I'm not going to, like, get in a wheelchair and start rolling around if I don't need one. Like, it doesn't make sense.
No, what you do is you take pictures of it, Trinity. You just take
lots of pictures.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. You don't think that the people older than me, the 70s generation with all their white suits and blue ruffles. How funny. Ruffles. How funny your proms were. The white suits and blue ruffles of the 70s are hilarious.
But my point is him and I were having a conversation, and he at first I think he took it kind of personal. He thought I was like ragging on him.
Right.
I was like, dude, I'm older than you. I'm supposed to think what you do is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, my parents all thought I was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And when you get older and have kids, you're going to think your kids are ridiculous.
Right.
It's part of the game, right? Like, so, yeah, if your parents think you're cool, or if your kids think you're cool parents, you might want to look at your parenting style just a little bit.
Well, you have to at least ask, what makes me cool? What are you saying that about? And you might get some hints as to where they feel, that's happening. Like, I know my youngest daughter calls me chill. She'll use that word. Oh, my dad's real chill. My dad's real chill. And what I have come out to know what that means I don't overreact to little things. Yeah. And I listen to her and I'll see, like, explain that to me. I want to know what you're really saying right there. And I think that's what she means by chill. Whereas my wife, and Dana, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just saying that her immediate response is, and justly so, and rightly so, she goes to the parental side immediately.
Really?
Whereas my parental style is a little bit different. My parental style is first, what do you what's the real motivation behind that?
I just can't picture Dana getting like upset and stuff.
You can't picture Dana getting upset?
Nope, not at all. Not even a little bit.
What?
In my head, my image of her is something happens. She'll be like, "It's okay, honey. Don't worry about it."
No, that's okay. That happens.
And just completely like,
that happens. That happens. But
no, even for like serious stuff, like your daughter could come home with like, I don't know, some crazy. She could come home 15 and pregnant. And your mom, it's okay, we'll deal with it. Like, I just picture her being so...
Wait. You better never come home 15 and pregnant.
Well, she's already over 15, so that can't happen.
Yeah. Well, no, the youngest one is still 15.
Oh, okay. I picture, like, Mary Poppins or something. Just very... just... I don't know. I just can't picture her getting upset.
But, it's funny that you say that, because initially, when we first started dating, I just came from L.A., and we're in college, right? And I'm going to say the rougher edged girls that I was kind of like talking to, but I was kind of like keeping my distance because they were just like the girls I was used to, right?
Right.
So I was like, they would be like, "Why are you with that girl, Little Bunny Foo?" They would call it Little Bunny Foo Foo.
Nice.
Was her nickname originally by them, and I would just like you don't even get it, because on the outside, you're right. Dana has that real purity, and that's what I loved about her.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that in all aspects of your life, and I'm not going to go into detail, because that's not appropriate. Sure. I'm just saying that what it means is it's awesome that she's able to be that for real, but at the same time, that doesn't define her other roles.
Sure.
I guess is what I'm saying. So, but I like that you say that, because she has always had that kind of reputation from how she presents herself, which is really cool, because that is her. She is a Mary Poppins in a way. She wants to play games with the kids. She wants to sit as a family and do things together. It's because of Dana that we're so family-oriented as far as that kind of stuff. Even though I come from a very family-oriented family, I'm talking about the gameplay, and that's a little bit different. We were family-oriented, but it's not like we sat down and played Monopoly together. I mean? We were family-oriented in we were always together, kind of deal. But yeah. So if you're hearing this issue right now, and you're either you're a family member or parent that supports your young person drinking or providing that safe environment, and kind of don't really understand how that may or may not be wrong for you or for your kid, just know this: at the end of the day, we don't know how it's going to play out for them. And that's my fear of it. My fear of it more than anything is that we don't know how their life is going to play out. Yeah. Nobody knew. Anyone that ever enabled my drinking or enabled my drug use had no idea how life was going to play out. And so, because you don't know, what's going to happen to a person later, because this illness is not truly understood. And it's not about just making good decisions. It's not just about learning how to drink safely, because I agree, some people that don't have the disease of alcoholism, they do very young need to learn how to drink safely, and they need to learn how to manage that differently. However, some individuals are going to get this disease, and some people already have this disease kind of brewing up inside them, and for them, this enabling to them is just taking them on a complete different path. And I think if you want to ever feel like, look, I did everything I could as a parent to do the right thing, you don't want any hint of guilt there that you may actually have earned.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to feel like, oh my God, I contributed to my son's death or my daughter's death. And so I want to protect you from that as well, because I've counseled the parents who have enabled quite a bit, and then when their children have died, they're like tore up.
Yeah, how do you live with that?
So when I'm counseling parents where their kid is still alive, I tell them, you know, you have to make decisions that you can live with at the end of the day. You know, that old tough love stuff has changed. I don't think tough love has the same place it used to have in our culture and in our treatment industry. I think it's more about compassion and listening and understanding more than tough love nowadays. I think that's a lot more successful in helping addicts, but that doesn't mean give them what they want. That doesn't mean let them get away with it. That doesn't mean make excuses for them.
It's a fine line, right, between compassion and
it definitely appears to be a fine line. It's probably a bigger line than we know, but it's only because we're so early into this.
But I think a lot of
people, we're learning how to be compassionate as humans.
I think a lot of people, I think that's what their concern is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes them go and solicit, advice from friends and relatives.
Right.
Is because they don't want to feel like they're enabling, but they have compassion and they don't know how to distinguish between the two. So I think that's why they start to ask friends or they reach out for help initially, is to, how do I approach the situation?
Well, plus addicts know how to hit your buttons. I mean, they know how to make you feel guilty. Say, well, you know, if you don't do this for me, I'm just going to go out and get it anyway. And if I die out on the street, you know, it's all your fault.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't help me get a hotel room tonight, then I'm just going to be out there on the street. I have nowhere to go. I'm just going to end up, you know, having sex with somebody that I don't want to have sex with just to get a place to stay. And that person might abuse me, hurt me, or something like that. So they're going to say things to you that are already fears that you have.
Sure.
And this is the reality that a lot of parents face. So how can you as a support system for that parent say, you know, don't do it, live with that guilt, when if something does happen out there, that parent's the one that's going to have to live with it. So all you can do is give some examples of how this is manipulation, how it is enabling, but at the end of the day, it's their decision because they have to live with it. And that's the hard part about helping a family member. You can't not helping a family, helping somebody that's going through this. You can't tell someone how to respond to their crisis. You can only give them options and hope that they pick the option that's best for them. But remember, it's their life. They're the ones that are going to go to bed where he's sick that night. No matter how much compassion you may have for that other individual, you never have the same level or amount of compassion as that parent does.
Yeah, and I think as a parent, that's one of the it's like one of the hardest things to do, I believe, is to let go a little bit and trust that
trust and have faith.
Yeah, this is actually a conversation I had years ago when I first found out I was having a baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know, prior to having my kids, I was very anti-baby. I didn't want any. I didn't want kids.
I was anti-baby.
I was, legitimately anti-baby.
Right.
People were like, "You want to hold my baby?" No, I do not. Didn't want to have kids. Was very, very content in my life. Didn't want to have them. But when I found out I was having one, I found it was a girl too. Mm-hmm. I know the caliber of people that are out there.
Right.
And so my immediate fears as a guy was like, oh gosh, my daughter's going to end up with some player or whatever, and 15 and pregnant. And so I was talking to my buddy who already had a daughter a few years prior to mine. And him and I had a pretty interesting discussion. And he was basically just saying that, you know, you can't worry about that kind of stuff. You have to just do your best to raise them the best you can, give them all the tools, and just at some point you have to trust that you did your job and allow them to make whatever decisions they're going to make.
I agree.
And I think that's one of the hardest things as a parent to do, is to let go of that control and let them kind of make good or bad decisions and just help them through it, essentially.
Yeah.
I think it's easier for some people to do it than others, of course, but I think that's one of the biggest, because I go through a little bit now, because I have a 17-year-old now and a 13-year-old. Both of them are through marriage, but I still consider them my own.
Right.
But I see some of the struggles my wife even has at times with. He's 17. He's gonna be 18 soon, and he's starting to become an adult, and just that dynamic and how to navigate that. I think it's hard for a lot of people is to learn when to kind of let go of some stuff, because oftentimes they feel like letting go means you don't care anymore.
Right.
You do. It's just a different type of caring.
Well, also letting go sometimes means letting them die.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, Trinity, is
absolutely
because
the hard part.
When you feel like when you turn around, that's the last time you ever saw that individual, and so that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, thankfully I obviously now have never had to deal with that myself, but having been in this industry now and have met more people than I care to admit, having lost children to this, and just to see how involved they are and see the passion that they approach the situation with, I can't imagine what that is like to feel that.
Right.
And to even. It's bad enough to feel the loss and see it not being there, because I can't imagine losing my kids at this point.
Right.
But then to rightfully or wrongfully so, to feel like you contributed to that's got to be the worst.
Yeah.
And so,
even though you didn't.
Even though you didn't.
You had no.
But that feeling, it doesn't matter what anybody else tells you.
Yeah.
Your common sense, you could read books and articles and talk to a therapist.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when it's just you and yourself getting ready to go to bed at night, you're going to still think that I could have done something different.
100%.
Because it's your kid, 100%. Man. Like, even now, my kid skins her knee. I'm like, all right, what could I have done to stop that?
Which is exactly what, some parents get so angry at government, or they get so angry at the systems. And we know individuals like that show up at those meetings and say, listen, this is what needs to be done and changed, because this isn't available. This wasn't available for me and my kid.
Yeah.
And I think that these political institutions, these government institutions, I should say, and these representatives, that's why I kind of made fun a little bit of, I'm not saying
sure.
Stephanie Murphy doesn't care about addicts or recovery. I'm just saying that when you see a story like that, you tend to think about your crisis that you're dealing with. Well, there's a lot of families right now that are dealing with they just lost their home due to this hurricane. They have been unable to get a hold of their families in Puerto Rico. We have no contact with any of our family in Puerto Rico other than my tia Amy. Other than that, my entire dad's side of the family, we cannot contact them. We have zero contact with them. Wow. So when all these kinds of issues are happening right now, and people are wondering right now, is my son or daughter still alive out there? I haven't had contact with my son or daughter in a month.
Oh, I couldn't imagine
since they ran away from rehab or whatever. How do you look at a news article that says, the congresswoman is going to go talk about Zika?
Yeah.
Just how do you see that and then put any kind of value or any kind of respect towards that when you're like, Zika?
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly.
Right now? We're talking about Texas is suffering. You're talking about Florida is suffering. Puerto Rico is suffering. The U.S. Virgin Islands are suffering. Every family in the United States right now is suffering. Our healthcare system is suffering. Our political system is going crazy because the left and right have never been so opposing.
Yeah.
Everybody's throwing stones. You have a racial disruption right now starting.
Yeah.
At a really sparked up by people that wanted to spark up that, who are using the racial divisions that exist as a political tool, both sides.
Well, see
so it's like all this going on, and we're talking Zika.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I have an issue with, just as not only as somebody in the industry, I guess now, but just as a citizen, I guess I just have a legitimate problem. And I'm going to quote some numbers now that you and I went over the other day. I might mess up a couple digits here and there, but I know the overall theme of it.
Right.
What disappointed me was just very disheartening, and we've talked about it before, but now we actually have some legitimate numbers to put towards it. We were always saying that when the Pulse nightclub shooting happened here, it was devastating for the people who were involved in it. Absolutely. It was horrible. It was disgusting. It was the worst of human nature. I get all that.
Yeah. Anger, hatred, nonsense.
Absolutely. And the numbers for that one, if I remember correctly, there were 50 people killed
49.
And 53 people injured.
You can only say 49 because the 50th was the shooter.
Okay. So 49 killed, 53 people injured. And the government gave, I think it was $8 million to help the individuals and the family.
That's not counting what people have given.
Correct. So the government itself gave a little over $8 million. And in theory, not to sound, cold-hearted, I guess.
Right.
But only 53 families could have used that for the most. Like the 49 of those people are dead. They can't use the money. Their families, yes. And the other people.
Well, no, there's a lot of people that are injured differently, psychologically.
That's what I'm saying. Their family, yes. But the 49 people.
No, I'm talking about psychologically. I'm talking about the people that were there that did not get injured.
Correct.
Or did not die.
Sure.
They still lost friends,
Absolutely.
or it could have been them. They
Absolutely.
witnessed horrible things.
Absolutely.
And then anyone in the gay community that now feels like a shut-in or scared to go out, or so it. In other words, I know you don't want to sound insensitive,
sure.
and I want to make sure that we don't sound insensitive because
phone calls and emails.
Well, it's not just that. It's just that in reality, it's not just those individuals. This did hurt millions of people. It didn't just hurt 49 people. It didn't just hurt 53 people. It really hurt every person out there who is either gay, lesbian, or I don't even know if I have to say other now. I don't even know because.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to sound insensitive, but I really have lost. I'm now really ignorant to that.
Yeah.
Other than the fact, in other words, whatever your sexual identity was, if it's questionable at all to other people, not to you because you probably know, but
sure.
if it's questionable to other people, you started feeling in danger and you started feeling unsafe, and rightly so.
Sure.
So all of them really require therapy, but they're not getting the therapy. You can't say, I'm in Indiana. I saw what happened in Pulse nightclub.
It bothered me.
Can I have some of that $8 million to go to therapy?
No, it was just for.
So that's what you meant, in other words.
So my point being, it worked out when I did the numbers. When I calculated the numbers based upon people who were directly impacted.
Yeah, I understand.
Because that's how I calculated my next set of numbers.
Right.
So people were directly impacted. There was 49, a total of 105 families is what I did basically. 105 individuals.
Okay.
So I did that, and it worked out to be a little over $800-some thousand per individual that was directly impacted by it.
Right.
While part of me is proud of the fact that the state came together and was able to offer support and everything else, I can't help but also notice that the state of Florida gave, I think it was like $52 million.
It was 54.
It was 50-something million to the entire state of Florida for the opiate crisis.
Right.
Well, there's 20 million plus people in Florida. So when I did the math on that one, it works out to be like $2.70 per person.
Right.
So if you
I want my $2.
Yeah, if you were in the Pulse nightclub shooting and you got injured, and I'm going to be facetious here for a second and say you stubbed your toe on the way out or you got nicked in the leg by something, you could get.
Oh my God!
I'm going to be facetious now, just to prove a point.
Is that what that's called, facetious?
Yes.
Yeah.
My point is.
But I don't want to be facetious either. If that's what facetious is, I don't want to be that either.
My point being is,
just say it.
If you got injured in the Pulse nightclub shooting,
okay,
even if you got like just a bad knee from it or something,
stop. Yes.
This
is psychological damage, Trinity, not physical.
Access to $800,000. If you're addicted to the opioid crisis that your doctor got you on because you had a bad surgery or a toothache or something like that, and they gave you a ton of pills, and now you're addicted, not because you made bad moral decisions, but because you did that,
$2.
You get $2.70 some cents. So $70.
Right.
$2.70 some cents.
Right.
And even that, as you pointed out, is very difficult to even get access to. That's my problem. As a citizen of the state, you have of upwards of 100-some people dying a day. Right. It's all the news. It's a huge, huge problem. Right. It's costing millions and millions of dollars and so many other connected things. You want to talk about psychological issues. There's a lot of that are connected to addiction. To them, their family, their immediate friends, it's $2.70.
Right. Well,
but it's a problem.
Well, you and I both know that it all breaks down to stigma.
Sure.
And people don't care as much about this or about those that are dying from addiction because so many people have been harmed by addicts or view them to be harmful individuals, either predatorial, thieves.
Yep.
So anyone out there with a harmful view towards addicts like that, ask yourself where you sat on the issue when you heard Donald Trump say what he said about some of the Mexican immigrants. Just ask yourself how you, because so many of you have thank you for defending us, by the way, those Mexican American those, but so many of you took that and ran with it as if this guy was this horrible racist against Mexicans, instead of even trying to say, all right, if he's not racist, what is he trying to say? If he's not racist, what is he saying? And you didn't do that. Well, some of you are the same individuals that on this issue, you have your own view of addiction, and you throw the same negative comments about them, that they're predators, that they're thieves, that they're murderers, that they're horrible people, that they're stupid, that they're losers. Just ask yourself, if, I'm going to do it like this. If you're a Trump supporter and you would hear Hillary Clinton get up and say that, instead of saying deplorables that really angered you guys, if she would have said, addicts are losers, addicts are stupid, addicts are criminals and thieves, how would that have been in the media? Or if you're a Hillary supporter or a Democrat, and you guys know anything Trump says, you guys go crazy about. If Trump would get up there and say, addicts are losers, addicts should be fired, you guys would freak out. So you have to ask yourself, how much you concern yourself about nonsense political views just because for whatever reason, you seem to think it's so darn important compared to the real issues at hand, which are right next door, right in your neighborhood, right now. Someone is seriously, seriously suffering. And because of, as a community, our level of compassion or understanding, or because of the stigmas that exist, they're not either seeking out the treatment, or it's unavailable, or for some reason or another, it's just not happening.
Can you imagine if people spoke about not even addiction, just the opiate crisis alone?
Right.
If people talked about that the way they did about NFL players taking a knee.
One day. All we need is one day of people talking about addiction like that.
And I'm not trying to belittle the cause that started this all, even though technically speaking, nobody's talking about the cause. They're talking about the taking of the knee.
You know darn well the cause has been lost in the protest.
Nobody's discussing the cause.
It's become an anti-Trump thing. It has nothing to do with police brutality and policemen that were wronged, that they weren't getting sentences.
But some NFL players take a knee. Trump makes a comment about it. And it's everywhere.
Boom.
I'm talking about social media, news coverage, it's like
the dude controls media.
Yeah, you're bombarded with it.
They buy it. They buy right into his gameplay.
Yeah, it's like a legitimate blitzkrieg of just stuff because they took a knee.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people are dying every day. Yeah. They were even saying about some of them kind of got a little bit of the point by saying, why is the president discussing this when our citizens in Puerto Rico, which they are citizens, by the way. Where's the camera at? Which one's on me right now?
That's this one.
Puerto Ricans are citizens.
Since 1898.
Yeah. So they are American citizens. Just kind of know that. So our American citizens are without power potentially for months, and their entire place is flooded, and he's talking about taking a knee. And so
because it takes 2 seconds to tweet. You and I both know first of all, when he said, I have plenty of time on my hands, and they can run with that as well, what he's saying is, I'm a workaholic. That's what he's really saying. I'm a workaholic. I work all the time. How long does it really take? You think I thought about this tweet for an hour? Yeah. You think I sat here and go, I wonder what's the next tweet? No, you know it was impulsive. You know it was really impulsive. Yeah. And it took 2 seconds to throw out a tweet. He could be talking to North Korea and says, I'm going to bomb your butt. Hold on. Darn NFL people, fire him. All right, let's talk about this North Korea thing. He can do that. People have the ability. In other words, some people, I know it's hard to believe, but some people have the capacity to do their job very well in hardcore and then take a timeout to do something personal. I don't know. Have you ever done that? Have you ever taken 2 seconds to kind of throw out a little personal comment of what you feel about something, or have a conversation with somebody during a break, or, anything? Talk to a family member and then get off topic and not do your job for about, 5-10 minutes? That happens. People do that. And the president's going to be no different. Nobody's any different. I have every faith in this. That man is a workaholic. That man is very impulsive. And I think every issue that we could probably bring up, that man spends a hell of a lot more time thinking about those issues than we do. Here's what we do. We spend every moment of our time trying to judge a person by their tweets. Imagine if people judged you by your tweets, by your posts. How many of you have said that don't think that what you see on social media is 100% true?
Yeah.
Yet, for some reason, when it comes to this dude, everything is true.
You mean everybody doesn't drive around in a Lamborghini with the perfect relationship and and eats nothing but broccoli and grilled chicken every day? Like, are you serious? There's more to it than that?
Well, you hear me. You hear me, Trinity. The point is man, look, reality is how much time, how many, if now we're going to measure, you did 9 tweets on this and 2 tweets on that. Who's the one being petty here? Look, all I want is an understanding, and I want addiction to be part of the conversation, right? That's it.
I want it to be...
I want there to be action behind saying, and this we do need to tell the Donald, our president. We do just want the action. Please, sir, when you said that you're going to call this a national crisis, then just please do so, but don't allow the governments then to reduce it from another spot, because this is what happened. Remember you said about 54 million a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
But we got budget cuts, Trinity, and we're going to do a whole show based on that. Because that same 54 million that our governor said, hey, here we go.
Yeah.
But then there was budget cuts. So actually we have programs closing. We have things closing.
Good ones too, right?
Well, I'm not going to go that far. But yeah, good ones too. I'm kidding. What I'm saying is we have actually budget cuts. So how do we have programs closing when 54 million just got allocated? Who's getting the money? Follow the money. Who's getting the money? And this is my problem with that. So there's no news coverage on all the budget cuts and how the end of, the end user, the family. Why don't we just get vouchers? Why don't we just give us all these blank vouchers for a certain amount of money? You know how you get those checks sometimes, and it looks like a big number. It's like $5,000. Yeah. It says, but if you cash this, now you just asked for a loan or something like that. You know those checks? Why don't we just give everybody a voucher for a certain amount of money, and you can use this at a legitimate treatment center. Just any already approved legitimate treatment center, if that's what you choose to use it for. Obviously, there's going to have to be documentation and medical necessity to get it. So trust the systems that exist and use them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Give us a voucher. God, I remember when President Clinton sent us all money.
Well, I mean,
or at least that's how it felt. Remember that?
I know.
We all got money back. We all got this check.
We used to get,
God, that was beautiful. A stimulus, what they call it, a stimulus
packages, yeah. It stimulated my economy, that's for sure.
God, that was beautiful. Well, even though Wait a minute. That brings back pain. Because I remember I didn't get the same amount. I remember that. I was not happy.
Because there was like 2 amounts.
Yes. So now I just re-injured myself.
Well, not only that, but, money for, like you said before, and we've talked about it extensively in the Orange County meetings. Let's give some money to private beds, man.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about. But the way to do that then
is this,
vouchers.
Sure.
You give family vouchers. In other words, if you or a loved one in the past year have sought treatment or have tried to get into treatment, well then first let's give them vouchers. Because we know they're still dealing with this sickness. Yeah. This is a disease. It doesn't go away. So if you or your family members have been diagnosed with the disease of addiction within the last whatever period of time,
right,
contact them first and find out where they're at in their recovery. They may need outpatient care. They may need inpatient care. They may need detox. They may need a doctor. They may need medication. Look, that's what we should do with the money. That $54 million could have gone out to vouchers and treated people that have already been diagnosed. In other words, if we had millions of people already diagnosed with Zika problems, wouldn't you contact them first about the problem with Zika?
Zika.
Contact the people that have already been diagnosed with the problem with
Zika.
You can't even do it, right?
Not with Zika, dude.
All right. Let's close up. Trinity, any birthdays, anything like that?
No, I actually just looked. I didn't see any birthdays.
None. Mine's coming up October 16th, but we'll have a show before then.
Yeah. Well, yours starts on what, Tuesday or something?
October 1st. Sunday night. Sunday midnight. Sunday midnight.
Sábado weekend.
I love it.
I say Saturday. But
yeah, I know you did. All right. So anyway.
Sounds better then.
Anything else you want to kick out there?
No, I think
Now
that's
Matters
it
More Foundation. Remind people they can donate.
Yeah, go to nowmattersmore.org and hit the donate button. I think that's all for us. We're out of time.
All right. So anyway, from all of us here on the Couch Live, thanks to Surf Monkey Media Studios, WPSN99.com, of course, A7BN.com, and WJHN102Jams.com, and Rock100DIZ.com. From everybody here at the Problem Solving Network and the Couch Live. Adios, amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.